Standard issue AK Sling. Seemingly a very simple item, usable yet mediocre in comparison to modern tactical solutions. But trust me, this piece of canvas has features you comrades never knew about. Давай, поехали! As you understood from the intro, today on Spark Project we're going to discuss standard AK weapon slings, their history, how to attach them, how to use them, and for the end of the video we reserved some very unusual features. In general, Soviet and Russian AK rifles are equipped with a version of the 6SH5 sling. Full designation is 6SH5-1SB belt for carrying of small arms. Structurally, a standard AK sling is made of a 35mm wide canvas strap, with a carabiner, a leather loop, and a buckle to make it adjustable. We have some interesting original material about it, so if you want to take a look at that, welcome to our Boosty and Patreon. Links in the description. In terms of history, the early pattern from 1949 was likely based on a variation of the SKS sling and was constructed with a leather element attaching the carabiner. By 1952, the leather attachment was replaced with a similar metal unit, coated in a protective paint. At the same time, fully leather slings appeared. Sources claim that these were issued in the Soviet Navy for a period of time. By the late 1960s, a transitional variant came into use, where metal elements lost the paint job. And shortly after that, by the 1970s, the final version of the 6SH5-1SB appeared, with galvanized metal elements, which is what we have here. Since only one side of the sling has a carabiner, Virgin Magpul users can have a hard time wrapping their brains around how to attach this magnificent piece of Soviet engineering to a gun. But don't worry comrades, that's why I'm here. It's worth mentioning that there is a version of the 6SH5 sling with two carabiners, issued with other weapons and sometimes used with AKs in modern conditions. We call it the lazy sling. There is also the AKS-74U version, but that's a totally different crop. Now to demonstrate the different ways of attaching the sling, we're going to use an airsoft AKS-74N replica. Let's start with the original way. In order to attach it as it was intended, the rifle needs to be placed in a position with both swivels accessible, which of course depends on the AK variant we're attaching it to. The carabiner end of the sling is passed through the back swivel with the carabiner facing away from the rifle. Then the carabiner is passed through the leather loop and through both sides of the buckle. Finally, the carabiner is attached to the front swivel of the gun, facing down towards the rifle. But keep in mind that if you have a new sling, you might need a multi-tool. Out of the crate, this is a sturdy suka. It will beat your fingers in a fistfight like a gopnik fighting for Semichka. What you end up with though is a vanilla 2-point way of wearing the sling, suitable for Soviet AK drill and not much else really. I mean, you can swing it to the back with reasonable comfort. You can get some of your basic 2-point manipulations. But the sling is not easily adjustable and you can't even switch shoulders without strangling yourself, so there are more efficient ways to run the 6SH5, at least in my opinion. But before we get to them, I have an announcement to make. In response to popular demand, we're currently working on an official PSPC community Discord server. In other words, a platform where you will be able to connect with us and other like-minded people from all sorts of funny places, to exchange knowledge, information, and just to hang out. Whether the server is up or not depends on when you're watching this video, but as of right now, we're still alpha testing it. And if you want to be among the first ones to hop in, the server is either already available, or will soon be available to all our Boosty and Patreon supporters as early access. It will of course be available to everyone, but as soon as we feel like it is good enough, or as late as we hit 5,000 subscribers. You know what to do, make me regret saying it, and давай, back to our sling. A more efficient way to run the AK sling is the 1-point configuration. In order to achieve it, the carabiner is simply removed from the front swivel and attached to the back swivel instead. Boom! You have the most fashionable one-pointer in the gopnik part of town. And not only do you have the classiest sling in the entire Eastern Bloc, but you can also comfortably switch shoulders, switch hands, move your weapon, and even perform administrative carry. Well, to an extent. But if that's somehow not enough for you, there is the 3-point configuration. It is better performed in AK versions with a different swivel location, and I don't know what kind of debil would even do this. But anyways, To achieve it, the carabiner is returned to the front swivel as if for a 2-point sling, but the adjustment buckle is moved all the way back in a way to create an extra loop large enough to fit your neck and arm. I mean, it is for sure a way to carry, but I see no advantages over the classic configuration. It is hard to swing the gun back and there is definitely no switching shoulders. Now look at what you have done, you crazy suka. You tangled yourself in a rifle, blade. As I mentioned before, different AK variants have different rear swivel placement, which affects the way slings are attached and the comfort of using them. To confront this, there is an alternate universal way of attaching the back end of the sling that does not rely on the swivel at all. In fact, it doesn't even need a rear swivel and can be used on almost any rifle, even non-AK. To achieve this, a loop is formed around the neck of the buttstock. This method is very popular and allows for both 2-point and 1-point configurations. Now to the more unusual and cheeky Breeki features of the AK sling. In some cramped, usually vehicle-related situations, you may or may not want your sling to be gone without being gone, and there is a way to achieve that. On the AK-74 and AK-74M, as well as AK-100 series, where the rear swivel sits on the right and close to the grip, all you need to do is fold the stock, tighten the sling to a specific point, and unfold the stock with the sling over it. And boom, your sling doesn't dangle around and doesn't catch on things while your gun is fully operational with access to all of the controls. In case of the AKM or the AK-74, where the swivel sits further and the stock doesn't fold either, you can do something similar over the front side block, but if you really have to, because that inherently blocks the side post. And finally, in some other situations that can be described none better as a complete pizdец, an AK equipped with a sling, or for the purposes of this video, a sling equipped with an AK, can be used as an improvised tourniquet. Of course, this implies that you traded your IFAK for cigarettes from Bandit. Your tourniquet fell out while you were fertilizing the nearby bushes, and your S-mark bandage ripped on you because who the debil keeps it on the buttstock of the gun exposed to elements. But hey, at least you have your Kalashnikov and the 6 SH5-1SB sling. Throw it over the damaged extremity and rotate until your bleeding is stopped, or slowed sufficiently so that your comrades have time to perform T-CCC on you. And now you know a lot more about AK slings. This video was on the shorter side simply because we're working on 3 more simultaneously, but I hope that you still found it informative and enjoyable. I will also quickly remind you that we're working on a PSPC community Discord server, and if you want to be among the first people to hop in, early access will be available to our Boosty and Patreon supporters. Keep an eye out on the community tab, there will be more news and information. As for right now, this is it. Thanks for watching. Давай!
Какой смешной автомат Калашникова.